Welcome to Back Issues. I'm Tiffany.
I'm Sal.
And I'm Ethan.
And today we're going to be doing a tiny book that is like, okay, so here's the thing. Like, alternate universes in comic books, alternate timelines, alternate stories. It's a thing, right?
Yes.
It happens all the time, right? You get like a book
Yes.
doesn't take place in the main continuity.
That's right.
This book does, but it doesn't. And I'm going to explain why. The book we're going to be covering is Green Lantern Superman, Legend of the Green Flame. Everybody get your Acquisitions Incorporated jokes out of the way. I know it's all I can think of, because they have a running gag where that, when you say Green Flame, the audience goes, Green Flame! It's written by Neil Gaiman, and art is done by friends, because there are a lot of artists who work on this book. So before we jump into this, we're gonna need a little backstory on it, which luckily this book, there's a forward and an afterword, and if you pick this book up, which if they sell it anywhere, I got this for a quarter.
Nice.
During Free Comic Book Day sales in like the $1 back issues bin, they were a quarter. I got this for a quarter, and it's a crime that I got this for a quarter. I should have paid more for this.
They should have paid you a quarter.
No, I ripped them off. No, I'm the thief. If you do pick this up, read the forward, read the afterward. Totally worth it. Great stories. Because the forward's done by Neil Gaiman.
Naturally.
And the afterward's done by Mark Waid.
Oh.
And there's a reason for that. Because does everybody remember a time when Action Comics didn't come out monthly? Instead, it was called Action Comics Weekly.
No.
So in the 80s, around like May 1988, they were like, let's do a weekly book. And it'll be Superman and a bunch of other vignettes in it. It ceased to be kind of, well, it hadn't been a Superman book on its own for a while at that point, or for a bit. They were trying things out. It was Superman, other people were coming in, focused on
Well, it's Action Comics, not Superman.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So
Later on, they would call it Action Comics featuring Superman.
Right. So this, though, led up to them like, let's try a weekly thing, right? So we'll have
let's overwork our creators.
Exactly. So the Superman will be in there, and Green Lantern will be in there, and the Black Hawks, and Phantom Stranger, and Phantom Lady, and all a bunch of other people, right?
Everyone's favorites.
They're all going to be in there, right? Green Arrow will be there, Black Canary, whatever, right? We're going to do that. We'll do a book once a week. And Mark Waid was an editor at the time, and he was working on that book, right? That went on till about March of 1989. When they were approaching March of 1989, they're like, nobody wants this and we can't do this.
Right.
It's too hard
Who's
and
this
nobody
for?
cares,
Yeah.
right? So after that,
Let's just not.
Right. They just kept the numbering, by the way, which is how Action got to 1,000 so quickly. There's like literally this went up for like 40 issues or so.
Yeah, that's how Spider-Man got to 800 so fast as well.
Yeah. So they had like an extra like 30 issues just kind of slapped in there over the course of this time period, right?
Okay.
So they're like, all right, we need to bring this to a close, right? So Mark Waid's sitting there and he's just like, who am I going to get to close this out? You know what? I'm going to call up Neil Gaiman and see if he wants to write an issue.
Which should really be like everyone's go-to anytime they want to wrap something up.
At the time, all right, so here's what's weird about like the timeline on
89,
this. Because it is 89, and that's when Sandman comes out, right? But I guess the timing on when it was written, at the beginning of this, Gaiman, who wrote this like forward in like, I guess 2000s, 99-ish, right? Says that it was pre-Sandman. So I'm like, I'm not really sure the timing on this, or if he's like saying pre-Sandman.
Like maybe he wrote it before he started working on Sandman?
Or maybe it's like before it was really published, or it was like before a certain part happens. Because there is a section that he refers to very specifically, so I'm not sure if that's what he's talking about. Like those issues hadn't come out yet.
Okay.
So Neil's really known for, at this point, his work on a book called Black Orchid, which I actually picked up and I haven't had a chance to read yet, and I can't wait because it's like a Vertigo-ish book where he's exploring the nature of the green and other such things, right? And it's kind of cool, and I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be great,
Are
right?
you familiar with the green?
What?
Yeah, we talked about it.
Yeah.
And we did,
Yes, we did Witching Hour, and we talked about the green.
Right.
yes.
And
I wasn't
probably,
on it,
and
though.
probably something else.
Yes.
So Neil is known for that. That book hadn't come out yet, but he'd written it. So Waid was like, let's see if Neil wants to write it. And it's like, I want you to write the end of this. And like they played around with some ideas. Neil took that within a week, had a script, sent it off.
Yep.
Waid loved it.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it. And was like, all right, let's make this happen, right? Then Wade's like, so what you're gonna want to do is you want to send this off to Mike Carlin, I think. Neil sent it off. He went off to like Milford on the Sea, a convention for writers. And while he was there, he spent an afternoon on the phone, on a payphone in a hallway, talking to Mike Carlin on the phone, who was like, there's a problem.
Okay.
And here's the problem. It's 1989. A couple of years ago, from that point, what had just happened to DC?
They had the reboot with Crisis on
They
Infinite
had
Earths.
their Crisis, right? Everybody had been kind of trying to make their way as to what was in continuity and what was not in continuity at that point. From the time it took Gaiman to get the assignment, write the story, and send it off, they had made a decision.
Wow.
And that decision destroyed the script.
Oh.
So Mike Carlin was like, maybe we could do this other thing?
Like maybe you could just write something else.
Sorry
Yeah.
you wasted your time.
Well, because like here's the thing, Mark Waid didn't have the heart. He says that he's like, my philosophy on being an editor was that like I just got the hell out of your way.
Let it ride.
Yeah, let it ride. Let
That's
it
not
go.
a good idea.
But like with Neil Gaiman, it is a kind of a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, because
Yeah, but
as
not
you-
after a crisis.
So,
No,
no, but
and you
no, but that
established-
was the thing. It wasn't. It was a miscommunication, and it wasn't something that was finalized as a decision until that time period. It was already written.
until he was
Right.
physically unable to protest.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like Mark Waid, I think also was like, I don't want to be the bad guy. I'll let
Right.
Mike Carlin be the bad guy.
Right.
And here is what the issue was. They decided that no one except for a few people would know the secret identity of Superman.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
This
What?
book is the conceit of it is that Green Lantern knows the secret identity of Superman.
Right.
Like, who cares?
Because it's important, because it's meant to be. All right, so in Green Lantern's continuity, not continuity necessarily, but like in his run, like in '88, they canceled Green Lantern.
Yeah.
They were like, screw this, it sucks. Because like originally for a while they tried to make it where it was like Green Lantern and Green Arrow, and it was mostly a Green Arrow book.
Yes.
Then they were like, okay, wait, no, hang on, we'll make it a Green Lantern book. And then it was doing terribly, and they were like, well, we'll just cancel it. And the only way you could get the Adventures of Green Lantern was in the Action Comics Weekly. So it focused a lot on him. In this, Green Lantern has like an existential crisis or like a crisis of faith where like he's like, what is my point? I don't understand. Like, do I suck?
Right.
Do I suck?
I can't sell a
Oh, it's
book.
the
So
worst.
then, like, he tried to like get in contact with all these heroes, and nobody would talk to him. They were all like too busy for him or whatever, which drove him down to a really low place, right? The conceit of that is this happened because it did, because Neil Gaiman read that and he paid attention to it. He's like, I'm going to use that in this book.
Okay.
So he's just like Green Lantern has to go to Clark, and Clark's got to be like, dude, I'm sorry I didn't get back to you.
Right.
Like, that was really crappy of me.
Yeah, what did he send a letter?
But
What
like the point is that like Green Lantern's at a low point, and that like he has to have like this moment with his friend, basically.
Yeah,
You need to have established that friendship.
sure.
So like Mike Carlin's like, maybe they could have met at like a superhero battle or something. I don't know, right?
Yeah.
And Neil's like, that's not gonna work.
No.
So they paid Neil for the script, and that was it.
And then they didn't use it.
put it away, and they had someone else write it.
Oh, the wrap up
the-
for
The
Action
Wrap up
Comics.
for
Yeah,
action,
and I'm
and
sure it's
that was
totally
it.
different.
It's totally different.
Yeah.
So let's cut to Neil Gaiman's written Sandman. He's in the midst of writing it. Karen Berger wants to put out a Midnight Collection anthology thing. She's like, Neil, can I use your your sample script? Like he had a sample script that he like used to prove that he could write. Can I put that in there? And he's like, yeah, sure. And he's like, and I might have something else for you. So he calls up Mike Carlin. He's like, hey, would it be cool if we publish this? Like, could we actually publish the script like now? Like,
Yeah, now that I'm a big deal.
does continuity allow for that? Like, is that all right?
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, you know what? Yeah, let me give you the name of an editor who's just coming to work for us. And like, that's great. And like, we'll go on for that. Problem is, DC doesn't have a copy of that script anymore. We lost it.
Right.
And Neil's like, I don't have a copy of that script.
Oh my god.
Because he wrote it on a typewriter because it's 1980 friggin'
He's
nine.
like, I don't have a copy of this script. I don't know what happened. A friend of his, Brian Hibbs, he gave a
Oh, I
copy
know
to
Brian
it.
Gibbs, yeah.
A copy of it to him at like Comic-Con. He
cool.
doesn't have a copy
Yeah.
of it, but he copied it and gave it to someone else, and that guy had it.
What?
So they got
insane.
it, they tracked it down, they got it, and they published it.
Okay.
Wow.
And here it is.
So this is the original
finally.
script.
What I think is so interesting about this is, in light of what's been going on in recent comic book news with Tom King being kicked off of a book,
Yeah.
this is what would have happened.
Yes.
were it not for that one moment where continuity shifted.
Yeah.
This is like a branch off of that continuity, and they were willing
Right.
to publish it.
Yeah.
I'm saying it
Well, because it kind of could have happened anyway.
right,
now.
exactly. But I'm just saying, like, in light of that, like, that could be something that happens with Tom King's ending.
Oh yeah.
Like, if he had more story,
Yeah.
here it is. Now, what's interesting about this is, like, Neil is like, he's like, people like would ask me when I would go there, like, to cons and, like, like do interviews and stuff. They'd be like, Neil, like, would you ever want to write for Superman or anyone like that? And he's just like,
I did.
But I did.
They're like, when? Where's the issue?
Yeah, exactly.
It's in a drawer
But,
that they
like,
threw away.
As he was writing the forward for this, he had this moment where he was thinking about the fact that he's like, what could have been? Had he written this and had this come out,
Oh, yeah.
he might have continued writing these. And he's like, he'd already started thinking up ways to fix what had happened to the Green Lantern Corps at the time.
Oh no.
Because they were in shambles and such, and he's just like, and not that he shared that necessarily, but like, what could have been? That's what this is. What could have been?
He should do that. He should write a whole alternate history.
Yeah.
He's so over that at this point, I'm
Right.
sure. He's so far beyond that. But so here we go. This is the Legend of the Green Flame. It's retitled to that so that it could exist as its own. But you need to know where this came from in order for it to make any sense.
Right,
Gotcha.
Right.
So this story actually begins in 1949
As they often
with
do.
a prologue. We see two gentlemen. They're from the Blackhawks. One of them's Janos.
What's the Blackhawks?
They're like a super like crime fightery team from the 40s kind of era.
I've never heard of them.
They fly planes.
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg optioned them as a movie.
Chen and Janos had been drinking.
Okay.
Janos is particularly like drunk. And they decide that they heard that there was a crazy weapon, like Nazi weapon or something like that, down in this like busted building because it's 1949, things are still in shambles.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're clearly somewhere in Europe,
Yeah.
seemingly. Anyway, they come across this like gruesome scene of like bodies, like, but they're skeletons.
Yeah.
Skeletal bodies, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's Nazi paraphernalia all over the place. There's also feathers. And Chen notices in the corner there is a lamp or a lantern. It's a green one, by the way. And he picks it up and he's just like, there's something about this. I feel like I know this. I feel like I'm familiar with this to some degree. It's like something like my father, my grandfather said, like a story he once told me. And he's like, does the name Chang mean anything to you? And Green Lantern fans, or at least Alan Scott fans, should recognize that Chang was a ancient Chinese myth, essentially. And he took the meteorite that broke off from a piece of the Star Heart, which was all the magic that the like Guardians had pulled out of the universe. They were against magic when they started the core, basically. And Starheart, part of it broke off, and as a meteorite like landed on Earth, and he forged it into a lamp. It was later found by like a guy named Billings, I think, who turned it into a train lantern looking thing, and Alan Scott finds it, right? Now, here's the thing. It is the 40s. Alan Scott should have found it by now.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if Neil's doing something interesting, because right now Alan Scott's missing.
Okay.
Like, he's disappeared. I think he's in limbo.
Oh.
Does that make sense?
During this period?
Not during the
40s?
49, but like
Oh,
during,
but during this period in comics.
Yes, yeah, because
Yeah, well, they're trying to like they're having an issue with the multiverse, because the idea, of course, is that like Alan Scott and the Justice Society came from another Earth.
yeah, Earth 2.
And then after Crisis 1,
yeah,
they condensed them into one Earth, and they
Yeah.
were like, oh, well, now the JSA isn't like an alternate counter to the Justice League, because Superman, of course, was on the Justice Society.
Right,
So
right,
it doesn't
right.
make any sense now. So instead, they were like, no, there was a JSA in the past during like the World War II, basically.
yes,
Okay.
yeah,
So Alan Scott should have been Green Lantern by now.
yes, exactly. So I'm not sure, honestly, if this
Why
is
he's not there, and why they found his lantern.
exactly. I don't know if this is Neil
well,
trying
it's-
to explain some other things.
I think
or-
they're saying that this is the death of the JSA, because you're seeing like feathers, so like Hawkman was a member of the
Yeah.
JSA.
Yeah.
So it's probably like these are
It's
the
like
this-
right after.
Yeah, like
yeah,
maybe,
there
like,
is
the
also
JSA.
a hourglass.
Oh yeah, that's Our Man.
Yeah.
So like yeah, no, these are relics of the JSA.
Right, but it's interesting because like Hal will later on ask if anyone's heard from Alan Scott.
Okay.
So it's like he still knows? I don't know. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
so anyway, these guys find it and they take it, and essentially that's all you need to know is that it was found and it was taken.
the Blackhawks recovered these artifacts
well,
of
just,
the JSA
just the lantern.
and the lantern.
The lantern
They
in
just
particular.
left the feathers.
and just left everything else there. Maybe they took some others. They're drunk. They're
Yeah.
super drunk.
Okay.
And so
Those
anyway,
feathers are awesome. You should
right?
take
They
those
look
You might
out.
want those
They look-
Thanagarian feathers.
They look great. They look great. So anyway, now we come back to like, the
Present.
80s. It's the 80s. And it's the Daily Planet. Clark's working on a report, and he can tell or sense that Hal is in the building. He hears his heartbeat, and he's like, you know, coming up to see him essentially. And he's like, I think he might have lost weight, but I'm not gonna like spy on him until he gets here. I'll wait for him to actually show up. I'll try to be a nice normal person, right?
Okay.
He shows up. He immediately knows that he's lost 13 pounds and 2 ounces, or 13.2 ounces. That's what it is.
What? That's a power Superman has?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can tell exactly how much someone weighs?
I guess. At least he can tell. All right.
Okay.
So in this
He has a photographic memory,
story,
I guess.
People like Neil Gaiman, Alan Moore, and Grant Morrison like to really get into Superman being super at everything.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
Superman can have a photographic memory and
Yeah.
can build things from that memory. Superman can like adjust his body chemistry. Like it's a whole thing.
Yeah, okay.
That like these
That-
kinds of writers like to.
That
do.
breaks Superman entirely. Okay.
Well, his relatability anyway.
Yeah.
So okay, so anyway, so basically Hal shows up and he's like, oh, Clark's like, oh, what a pleasant surprise, and it's like, bullshit, Clark, you weren't surprised at all. You knew he was coming.
Yeah.
You knew he was here. It's fine. And he notes that like Hal Jordan's pulse is a little quick and his hands are a little sweaty and like he's not right. He's a little off. And so he's like, Clark, you do anything tonight? And he's just like, nah, not really the usual. And he's just like, but I got some time. What do you want to like hang out or something? You want to grab a burger? And he's like, that'd be awesome. And then Lois Lane comes running up. She's like, hey, Clark, here's the thing. There is a Maltese falcon at the Metropolis Museum exhibit. I need you to go and cover it because I don't want to.
It's cool.
I'm busy. I don't want to do
Yeah.
it.
It was given to me and I'm giving it to you.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
a bullshit assignment and I don't need to do that. So you
Nice.
should do that. And Clark's like, I kind of have a friend
Yeah.
here. We're going to go.
She's like, you don't have any friends.
And she's like, that's fine because I got 2 tickets.
Huh.
And they're like,
cool.
Great.
Do you mind?
You wanna see
Hal?
the Maltese
Hal's like,
falcon?
I don't mind. It's fine. That's
Yeah.
cool. We can do that.
You want to go do my job with me?
Yeah, basically. So off they go to the museum. They're going to take a walk through the park because it'll be a little more isolated so they can talk a little more candidly.
Yeah, they can talk shop.
Right? And like basically Clark's like, hey, sorry I couldn't like, see you the last time you called, but like I had a lot going on. I just had a lot going on. He's like, no, it's fine. It's cool. And he's like, what happened to that chick you were like dating? And she was another Green Lantern. She was an alien. They're done. Their relationship's over. He's like, Clark's like, like he immediately regrets asking that question.
Yeah.
It's like, you might be super at everything, but you're not a super conversationalist. That's for damn
As I
sure.
recall, also she was a little underage.
Yeah, she was a teen. It was,
Yeah,
it was
very
bizarre.
complicated.
It was
Oh,
bizarre. So
By
they're like,
complicated, I mean creepy. So
Yeah.
Well,
The
she was
less
an alien teenager, though, so maybe in their society.
that was
So-
Hal's point, and they were all like, "That's not the point, Hal."
Yeah, but if she was from here, it would be weird, so it's weird.
right,
'Cause
exactly.
You're from here.
Exactly.
Fine, don't bring her here because when you do, you're under arrest.
Right. Yeah, and you're a space cop. You should know these things.
That's true.
So Clark's then like, all right, next topic. How's Ollie?
Right.
And he's just like, oh, we're not really hanging out anymore. He's busy now because he has Black Canary.
Oh.
So like, Clark's like,
okay, strike
Yeah.
2.
why don't you just tell me what you want to talk about? What's going on? Like, what's on your mind? And he's just like, here's the thing. I've been Green Lantern for a long time in this region of space. I'm an interstellar cop, but like, yeah, I got all this power. It's a translator. It does all this crap, right? But like, what am I really? Like,
Right.
the ring has all of this. Like, am I really that? Like, I have my ring, and like, honestly, I think at this point the power battery on Oa is gone. It's been demolished.
Oh.
So that's over, and like the core is like a handful of Green Lanterns
Yeah.
that are on Earth, basically.
Oh.
And he's like, he's lonely because like he used to be part of this huge Green Lantern Corps of like thousands of Green Lanterns. He was part of like the JLA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now he's not part of anything.
No, he doesn't
And
even
like
have a book.
Ollie's gone. He doesn't have his like underage girlfriend. Nobody will take his phone call.
Yeah.
He's just like he's just going down a spiral.
Right,
It's
yeah.
real bad.
Yeah. Well, maybe you shouldn't have dated that underage girl, and maybe your friends wouldn't have decided to distance themselves from you.
You should have tried a little harder in your book.
Cautionary tale.
Yeah.
So anyway, as this is going on, like Clark keeps trying to get his attention. He's like, Hal, we're being mugged. And he looks
We're
up,
being mugged.
and there's like a group of hooligans there. And like they're like, would you like to take it? No, how about you take it? They're going back and forth as to who's
Yay,
going to handle
that's
this
fun.
issue.
Yeah.
And so like he's like, all right, why don't we just do it together? And then like Green Lantern pulls out his ring. He immediately uses it. He flashes them, blinding them, picks them up with little pliers, and puts them into a cage. Sets up a big sign because the constructs will stay, saying like,
okay.
police, stop here for muggers.
That's hilarious.
Wait, well, the construct can remain after he creates it?
In this book, yes. I
How
don't
are
know
the police
if
going to
that's,
get into that cage to get those people out?
they're just gonna have to try hard.
They'll use their willpower.
Yes,
It
that's
must,
all you have
maybe
to
it
do.
decays after
Over
some
time?
period of
Yeah.
time.
Because like, and on top of all this, Clark's like, we should be discreet,
Yeah.
Right.
and he's
Oh,
like,
that's very discreet.
yeah, and
Oh,
Clark's
yeah.
like, this is not discreet.
This is the
No.
opposite.
and maybe not the neon
Maybe
sign.
maybe you're right about the decay thing. Light decays as it goes through distance. Maybe as it goes through time, the light,
do you
hard
think-
light constructs, that is to
How do you
say,
feel about that?
weakens.
Sure.
So anyway, he's like, no, it's a very discreet sign.
Sure.
How else will they find them? So they go to the exhibit. It's the Falcon exhibit that will start tomorrow, basically. But the press are allowed to come in. There's press packets for them, and basically everything there is like typically some sort of newsworthy item, but also has an additional mystery surrounding it.
Okay.
Okay.
Trying to get people into the museum today.
Right.
Sure. And so then, like, while they're there, like, Clark, again, because it's his game and he's got these little, like, touches here.
Yes.
So, like, there's a guy walking around with champagne and he offers him champagne. He's like, do you have orange juice? Like, I don't, he doesn't.
Yeah.
He won't,
Oh.
Yeah.
he won't partake.
Orange juice?
Clark Kent,
No.
Smallville, not.
I have club soda.
I have yeah, and water.
So then there's a woman who was hoping that there was, like, going to be a pearl there that she really wanted to see.
To like
a
look
sapphire,
at.
if you will.
No, it's a pearl.
Oh.
It is very much a pearl. And she was hoping that just to see the pearl, and she liked the name of it. And like Hal's like, oh,
Hello.
my name is Hal Jordan. I'm
old
here
are
with
you?"
a friend. And she's like, oh, I'm Selena Kyle.
Oh no!
Yay!
Because don't forget, Catwoman is in the Action Comics Weekly. She has a little thing that's been going on, right?
Okay.
So this is it. This is all you're seeing of her.
Yeah, but this is
'Cause
removed
well,
far
because-
from the Action Comics Weekly series. So you're just picking this up for the first time. You're like, what the hell is happening?
Right, but if you weren't, don't forget, this was supposed to be Action Comics number 642.
Right.
So this was going to kind of like sum up like a bunch of these little
those
stories in a
stories.
way and bring this to a close so they can move on.
Yeah.
Kind of.
But like coalesce it all. into
really,
one
it was
story.
just going to like kind of sum up and change things over for Superman and Green Lantern. Those were
Right.
kind of the two heavy hitters.
Okay.
So Neil wanted to at least drop some names
Yeah.
into this.
Yeah,
why
they're all
not?
part of the same
Yeah,
world.
because
She's
he's
there,
well
too.
aware of this,
If
right?
you know this long, complicated history about this series, then you're definitely gonna like it.
Yeah, by the way, in the same like sentence that she introduces herself as Selena Kyle, she's like, oh, there's someone I have to go see, and she leaves. Like, he struck out with her entirely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm Selena
Oh.
Kyle. Goodbye.
I
Yeah.
gotta be like over there now.
like,
Bye.
don't talk to me
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll come with you. No.
No,
You won't like fit. There's not room.
there's no room for you.
there.
Yeah.
On either my left or right.
So, thanks.
You stay right there.
So then, like, Clark shows up and, like, he looks like, you know, forlorn a little bit, and, like, he's like, how you doing, pal? And he's just like, I struck out
Ugh.
big time.
Yeah.
That's okay. She's Catwoman.
Okay, she's a bad guy. You shouldn't be
It's cool, don't worry about
dealing
it.
with her anyway.
So then they go down one of the wings of the museum. There's nobody there, and again, they're just kind of, they're chatting. He does an impression, and, like, Clark thinks it's one impression. It's totally something else. Like, Hal Jordan's just a mess.
Yeah.
Like, he just
You
sucks.
can't do anything right.
Right?
Can't entertain Superman.
Exactly. And like he goes like, I wonder how many people are here. And Clark goes, he's like, there's 832, including the museum staff. And he's like,
Thank
I
you,
just-
Clark. I was speaking rhetorically.
it's just
So Clark's like an android. It's like Data.
I believe the
just-
parlance in this is called a dweeb.
yeah, he's also that.
Yeah.
So as they're walking along, all of a sudden Hal's like, whoa, look at that.
Yeah.
And he sees the lantern. He's like, that looks like Alan Scott's lantern. And like Clark mentions the fact that it was found in Berlin. The Blackhawks found it and it was placed here.
Yeah.
And he's like, can you like examine it? Can you like use your X-ray vision to like
Yeah,
check
like
the
you just
look?"
did to tell me an arbitrary factoid about this building.
No, he was just reading the.
Yeah, he read
Oh,
the
you
thing.
mean
Oh, about the number of people.
Yeah.
Oh, is that a vision thing ability he has?
Apparently.
He counted them all.
Counting really fast.
Counting really fast. I'll use my counting vision. It's 850 whatever.
Exactly. I'm every carnival's nightmare.
Yep.
So anyway, he examines it, and all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, that's weird," and then he's like, "Gah!" And like he reels back.
Oh, magic.
And he's just like, I looked into it, and it was like I could look into it infinitely,
Oh,
What?
that's cool.
and like it really like messed him up.
Yeah.
And he's like, this can't be Alan Scott's lantern, though, right?
Right.
Because like Hal's like, Alan Scott had his
used
lantern
it.
up until a few years back. Hey, has anyone found out like from him, like, you know, like what happened to? No? Okay. So like that totally gets like cut off, and he thinks that it must be an old power battery.
Oh.
Like he's just like, oh, it just must be that. It just must be an old power battery left here.
This looks like Alan
And he's
Scott's
like,
lantern.
Yeah.
maybe I'll use it, I'm thinking.
What?
So then Green Lantern uses his ring to like create a mental block against everybody there to come down that wing of the
Right, just don't
hallway.
come near here.
So like everybody ignores the fact that it exists.
Okay.
So like,
That's a power he has, apparently.
What?
yeah, by the
He
way,
creates mental constructs as well. Constructs of the mind.
but in the panel where he does that, you can clearly see the artist is like very obviously putting people he knows. Like
Yep.
that's Neil Gaiman.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's Neil Gaiman. Because don't forget, this script was done later on, so they got artists from later on to do this. So
Cool.
anyway, so Green Lantern gets his costume going on, and like and Clark's like, "What are you doing, Hal?" And like Clark's taking his like jacket off. He's
Yeah,
like,
are
"No,
we
I'm gonna."
getting... we doing this?
Are we power? Are we
We
super
supering
Is
up?
this happening?
Are we
gonna-
heroing here? And he's like, here's the thing. If there's a power battery left, it's my job to like help the other lanterns, right? Who don't exist anymore and don't have their power like any longer. Like, so I need to investigate this. So I'm gonna
Okay.
do that, right? Because he needs to feel good about it. He needs to have done something.
He needs a win.
Right?
Is this Green Lantern? Sorry, is this Green Lantern who doesn't need a power battery himself?
It turns out like it's like in him, I think, at this point. Because I
Ah.
think his power battery also was destroyed.
Yeah, they were all.
Yeah, because for a while it was like the Green Lantern ring only lasted 24 hours.
Yes.
And then it lasted until the power was depleted. And now I think he's good.
Right.
But everyone else is not. That's why.
Except
he
for
wants
like this handful of individuals. I think something happened when the power battery was destroyed. A bunch of rings were also destroyed,
Okay.
I believe. And he's like, hey, Clark, have you ever seen me do my oath? And Clark's like, no. So he does the oath, in Blackest
Have
Day.
you seen me say up, up, and away when I fly away?
Yeah. Who cares? You can
Jeez.
imagine probably, right?
Yeah, so he's bright as day, black as night, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, right? So he does it. He goes, Green Lantern's white, and all of a sudden they're enveloped in a green flame.
Oh.
Which is very not what happens.
Yeah, that's not supposed to happen.
Destroy the building
What?
there.
Right, and it like blasts Clark's like outer vestments off, thus revealing his Superman.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we go to chapter 2, done by a different artist, which is actually, I believe, the artist who did the covers for 1602.
Yes.
And they end up in basically purgatory, where they run into Dead Man.
What?
Wow.
They died, basically.
Whoa. Yeah, they got blown
Well
up.
going, Hal.
So,
I guess
like,
it was a trap.
yeah, Dead Man shows up and he's like, dude, you're Superman.
Hey.
Dead.
That's cool. And you're Green Lantern. All right, nice.
Welcome.
Right? Like, so I'm guessing that if you two are here, then more than likely, you're not going to like the answer as to how you got here anyway. So they kind of have a conversation about that. They don't know who Dead Man is
Okay.
necessarily. They're like, who are you?
I don't normally see him in his outfit.
Right, like floating around, and like he's just like he ends up like saying like, this is always the kind of questions I get. Like as soon as someone sees me here, like that's what they do. They're never like, hey Boston, how you doing? What's going
I
on?
don't know who you are, Boston.
Yeah, jeez.
So like he's like, sometimes I wish I had like some paper that I could write down like here's like the lowdown on what's happening. Like
Right.
You're
Just give
basi-
you the pamphlet.
yeah.
So
I'm
you're
saying the same
dead.
thing over and over. Yes.
So you're dead. What now? So Brand's like, well, you'll figure it out. Like usually, like you'll be fine. You'll figure
Right,
it out.
God will
So
solve it.
I don't really have
he
time
goes
this
to leave, and you get this kind of cool looking image of Superman standing there stopping him because
Right.
he can still fly here.
Yeah.
And he's just like, hold on,
No, you're gonna explain.
you got some stuff to answer here for. And he's like, you're probably dead.
Right.
You probably died, guys. Like I don't like, and where you go from here, I don't know. Heaven, hell, someplace else, I don't know.
You're not very useful, dead man. What would you say you do here?
I'm like the Walmart greeter of the afterlife. Hello, come on in.
Yes. Initially useless, ultimately not there anymore.
Yeah. This is a tangent, but you know what they originally hired those greeters for?
Security, right?
Yeah.
Because they
it's a psychological.
Like
security
someone said
measure.
hello to you, they acknowledge your
Yeah.
existence. Yeah.
Well, because they didn't want to spend money on like insurance and security officers. They used to have a greeter and a security person.
Right.
But then they found out like it was more of a problem to get people like to actually enforce security, and
Right.
they scaled that back. And so they like basically just said like, oh well, we'll just give it to the greeter.
Yeah.
And the greeter was going to be like, yeah, and
it's
then,
just like you think someone's watching you because someone said hi to you. when
that's
you came
why
in.
it used. There was a period in time where if you went to a Walmart and you were suspected of theft, they would send an employee to follow you around and offer you help.
Yes. to keep you
Yeah, to keep
on the
you
straight
from
and narrow.
stealing it.
Yeah. So Dead Man is just purgatory security.
Right.
Just there to
Basically,
keep
he's just
Superman
there.
and
Well, I mean, he also
Green
exists
Lantern
there,
from-
and he is a hero in his own
Yeah, no, it's true.
version of things.
Yeah.
In the
but he's
grand-
not doing anything heroic here.
No,
No.
but like he was in the DC Comics Weekly or the
Yeah,
Action
okay.
Comics Weekly, so here
Oh my
he
God,
is.
he was in that too?
Yeah.
I just figured he used him because Neil Gaiman can't help himself and has to use friggin' characters like Dead Man.
No, he is part of it, so he uses them.
Got to use weird characters.
No, exactly. No, but later on, like he mentions in his his forward thing that because he wrote this, there's a joke here that he tells that he uses later on in another book he
like
wrote.
he uses that same joke.
Yeah, he's like
I couldn't help myself.
I stole a joke and
From
returned
myself.
it and
Yeah.
returned it to Boston Brand.
Oh,
because it was
okay.
rightfully his to use.
That's funny.
And I was like, that's cool.
Fair enough.
So anyway, he's like, you're dead. And Green Lantern's like, but what could kill Superman?
Right.
And Superman's like, well, it's either kryptonite or magic.
Right.
And like, Hal's like, I didn't, or Clark goes, I didn't feel weak around it. So I'm guessing it's magic.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So like, they're like, what do we do now?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you keep going through the mist. Eventually you'll find like a light, right? The deeper you go. And then I don't know, like I've never. I
don't know how it goes. I'm a ghost.
Well, he's not allowed to go that far.
Yeah.
She doesn't let him. And he's like, you said we were probably dead? And he's just like, well, I mean, like, occasionally people just kind of pass through here.
Okay.
Like, they just, like, you know, either through, like, a heart massage, something like that, right? Like, honestly, like, they're superheroes, so sure, it could happen. You know what I
Right,
mean?
yeah.
Like,
Maybe so.
Superman, you'll be here a lot sooner than you think.
get used to it.
it's coming.
And Hal, you too, actually.
So anyway, then Green Lantern's like, you know what? Maybe I could use my ring to send us back to our bodies.
Oh.
Like, to tell us to go back to our
To, like,
bodies.
cheat death?
And, like,
why not?
he's like, I don't know if it probably is not going to work.
Well, because, like, is the ring even here?
It's on his hand. He's looking at it.
I
Yeah.
know, but, like, is it a manifestation of the ring? Like, what about my dead body? Is
No,
that
what
the
is
ring?
it really?
So.
What am I really?
Well, don't forget, if the ring is possessed by magic, then it could be there, right?
Yeah.
Because it's magic.
It's all
Right.
magic.
So then, like, he's like, you know what? It's worth a shot, I
Yeah,
think. And
launch
like,
it, do it.
and like, Clark's like, fine, Hal, give it a try. Go ahead.
Oh my God.
No, all of your ideas have worked so far, so well. You know, I'm
Yeah.
just, you know, look where
You're
we
really
are
batting
now.
1,000 right now.
So he uses it, and like, Clark goes, it couldn't get any worse. And they poof away.
Oh.
And he's just like, and Dead Man's like, okay,
Nope.
fine.
Huh.
By the way, can it get any worse? Yes. And the next chapter is literally like, I think what Gaiman and Mark Waid originally had thought would be such an interesting idea, and it truly is. Like, I find it to be a phenomenal next chapter. Except after the interlude, I forgot about it. I forgot that. Well, okay, so Gaiman decides to throw in an interlude because it's Neil Gaiman.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And he wants to throw the Phantom Stranger in there.
Why not?
Sure. Get him in there.
So the Phantom Stranger's in there, and basically he lives in the apartment that's gifted to him by the Lords of Order,
Yep.
and he's gonna leave it. And they're all like upset. And they're like, "You can't do that." And he's like, "Watch me."
I can do whatever I want. I'm Judas
leaving.
or something.
Yeah, because like he didn't have a name, and
It's
then it turns out
complicated.
he's Judas. But I think at this point he doesn't. Like, he's
No,
just the
like,
Phantom
well,
Stranger.
the Phantom Stranger could be Judas Iscariot or a number of other things
Yeah.
that are not related to the Spectre, who is the Angel of Death, kind of.
Yeah.
But he's ethereal.
Yes, essentially. He's also used in Neil Gaiman's books of magic.
Yes, of course he is.
But like, I think it's because of his experiences delving into this for a little bit.
Naturally, yes.
So we hit chapter 3. This is the
Oh, that was it?
yeah.
Phantom
Like,
Stranger's like, I'm gonna move out. They're like, oh, I hope you don't. He's like, I will.
he'll be back. So
But I do.
I bet he comes back. So the next chapter is the chapter that I think Neil Gaiman must have originally pitched to Mark Waid because it's a genius chapter. Where did the ring send them? It sent them to hell,
Yeesh.
Okay.
which is really objectively cool. And like the thing that like Gaiman says, he's like, this is not Sandman's hell. This is pre me writing this. This is the hell that Alan Moore refers to.
Oh. Cool.
Okay.
Putting that out there for you. So anyway, what we focus on here at the very beginning of it is we've now put Superman in hell
Yeah.
with all of his super senses.
Ugh.
So he hears and sees everything, and it essentially puts him in like a catatonic state because he doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he wants to help everyone.
Yes, and he can help no one.
That's kind of allegorical, isn't it? Like,
It's-
didn't Jesus go to hell? Isn't that the idea? I remember hearing like that
in Catholic dogma,
in Catholic
he goes
dogma,
to hell.
He goes to hell to free those who don't know the proper way
Yes,
to
well,
pray.
to free people who died before he could come
Yeah.
and save them.
So could it
So
be
like
that,
Moses, and it's the way for like Moses to go to heaven.
Yeah,
even though
exactly.
he died before
even though he
Jesus
didn't know
existed.
the true Lord's Prayer.
Yes.
Like, I think that could be our allegory, where it's like Superman, because Superman doesn't belong in hell.
No.
Any way you slice it, and he's not really doing anything.
No, no. But like, so he's there, and like we go through each of the senses. I hear a woman sobbing, saying it wasn't a sin. I loved him. It wasn't a sin. And then he hears her throat slit, and he hears the gurgling cries continue. And then he hears it heal again, and her moans redouble.
Okay.
And
Yikes.
he can smell the burning skin and blood and urine and the scent of hate and fear and despair.
Yikes.
And he can see with his X-ray vision the black grubs burrowing in human skin and people drowning in fire and ice and like people being eviscerated.
Yikes.
And like all he can do is weep.
Right.
And I'm like,
That's awesome.
that's cool. And all he says is all I can see. And I'm like, that's insane. So he's just floating there.
Yeah.
And like Green Lantern's like, okay, Superman, you need to snap the hell out of it because like I kind
Supes
of
has
need,
gone bye-bye.
yeah, I kind of need you right now. And that's when a hellish bird arrives.
Cool.
Now, this was meant to be the demon Etrigan was meant to show up.
Aw.
However, he was no longer part of anything like concerning Action Weekly or wasn't around anymore. I can't remember what Neil says in the beginning of this.
Okay.
So Neil's like, that's cool, I'll just make up my own thing. It's fine.
Damn, he's just been like, I don't care anymore. Who cares?
But he was trying to stay within, like, Neil Gaiman typically respects the continuity of things that came beforehand.
Right,
like,
but he's writing a script for a book that doesn't exist anymore.
no, he wrote this script for
Well,
a book that was coming to an end.
At the time.
Yeah, but it's over now. Now that it could be its own thing.
No, this
Right,
is
but-
the script he wrote.
But
though.
like he knew that the continuity was, well, he didn't change. You know, he wasn't going to change the script after, like when it was actually published. He would not change it.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, but like, you know,
But he should.
There were years between.
Right, but he wanted. He's like, this is the
But
script
this
I
is
wrote.
the script I wrote
Yeah.
for the time that it was in.
Exactly.
So
he's
you can actually take this and put it back
yeah.
right.
and read it in that order.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you wanted to, kind of. So anyway, it is a like rhyming sonnet speaking bird who's like, ah, what luck! I found two like. He's looking for food basically.
Okay.
He's like, nice, got you, and like he starts attacking them, right? And like Green Lantern's like, this is insane. I don't believe in hell. I don't believe in any of this.
This is
This has to
insane.
be. He's like, this has to be a delusion or a hallucination. I don't know, right? As he's like freaking out about this demon bird, there is an entire boat of like demons coming for them. And they're all
Okay.
talking about the parts they're going to consume of them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And like, as that's happening, like, we go back onto Superman's head, and like, he's like, all like I curse my eyes and I curse my senses and I wish I could shut them off and I can't. And he's like, what's worse is I want to help them and I realize that they don't want the help. That they're here because they want to be.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is awesome. Right? Like, it's just like, ah. So anyway, like, as he's listening and hearing, like, to all of that, like, Green Lantern's also asking for help. And, like, Clark can't separate the screams anymore.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he
yeah.
just can't separate it.
Yeah.
So the bird, like, bites into Clark. And that causes Green Lantern to be shaken off of, like, Soup's, like, legs. Because, like,
Okay.
he was kind of the thing that was, like, a life raft for Green Lantern. Like,
Okay.
Soup's just kind of floating there. And, like, Green Lantern's just falling, right? And he's just like, this is impossible. Like, I can't believe that this would happen. The ring has got to get us out of here. It has to do something. Like, come on.
Yeah.
As he's falling and the ring is activating, the ship, the pirate ship full of people, sends an anchor. And it, like, just plunges into Green Lantern's chest.
Oh my god.
And, like, they're going to reel him in. And as they're reeling him in, the lantern, like, or the ring poofs them out of there.
Oh.
And then the like big demon that was in charge of everything on the boat grabs the bird and like because basically they're going down now and like when they splat below it's gonna take him years to reform his body and he's just like but you're gonna pay for it, bird, and he kills the bird to eat it as sustenance starting with its eyes and you see it like a claw going into the eye and
Oh
it bursts.
my gosh.
Right?
Cool.
That's crazy.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
And like, so then we have another little interlude where we see the Phantom Stranger arrive at the party, and he realizes that something's going on with Green Lantern and Superman.
Because the construct remains,
Yes,
just like it did with the
exactly.
sign,
And so he sees it. Also, the ring is still there. You can see it. Like,
Okay.
So,
So it's the ring in Hal's mind
Yeah.
in Hell.
kind of, yes, because they are like spirits, basically.
Yes.
So we see them like in this like place, and there's like a big green fire there, and something is talking to them, and then like it says like, the alien and the Owen Pawn. That's what he calls him. And he's just like, they're damaged, and I'll fix them. So like he like writes them basically,
Okay.
right? And they get up and they're like, what the hell's going on? This is when Superman like confesses to Hal that like he couldn't, like I'm sorry, I couldn't help you.
Yeah.
He's just like, let me tell you what happened here. He's just
Right.
like, literally like, Superman's trip to Hell could have forever changed who Superman was to some degree. And I'm like, that's nope,
interesting.
can't use it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So then, like, Superman looks up and he's like, where are we? And there's, like, a big green fireball in front of them, like,
Yeah.
very Wizard of Ozian
Yeah.
looking, right? So I was like, to be honest, Clark, I don't care anymore. I
right, we're
I
not
don't
in
care.
hell.
I just,
Yeah.
we're not in hell, and I just want to go home,
way
and I
better.
shouldn't have done anything, and whoops.
Yep.
So then, like, the thing starts talking to refers to itself as one. It's like, one is sorry, Hal Jordan, for sending you to hell by accident. Like, that was not where it meant to send them.
Okay.
It's like, oops,
That's a hell of an oops.
sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't end up at Walmart.
yeah,
Well,
well,
in hell.
Yeah.
I know
So-
it's hardly distinguishable, but still.
yeah, let's try that one again. Without the oops this time.
Yeah.
yes. Not the oops.
So he's like, who are you? And he's like, one is the flame, Hal Jordan. I am the flame. And he's just like, is this? And Clark goes, is this a dream? Like, what the hell's going
Yeah.
on here? He's like, this
Yeah.
is not a dream, alien. Like, this is real. Like,
Can you stop calling me an alien?
He's
Yeah.
like, you're an alien. I'm sorry.
What, what are you, human flame? I don't
Exactly.
understand. Like,
If you-
what?
yeah. Shouldn't we both be aliens if you're from another planet from either one of us?
Right? And he's like, you've entered the heart of magic. And he's like, why? He's like, because I brought you here.
Right.
I'm like,
Okay.
all right,
that
so you're
didn't
just
really
gonna
answer
give
my-
me non-answers.
Okay.
All right,
Well,
whatever.
you're magic.
well.
You're gonna talk in riddles anyway.
Then he gives us a little history lesson. And he's like, 40 million years ago, when
let's
the
start
Owen
there.
creators, made their great battery, they purged magic from it. This happened. This is what happens at the beginning of the universe and the Green Lantern Corps. And that's where the Starheart, came about, right?
Okay.
And like basically, the Starheart existed. It sent a little part of itself off. It kind of became like a meteorite as it went through space. It also tangled in with an evil spirit
Oh.
named Yalin Gur. So let's just keep that in the back of your head. But it mentions the fact that it's like, hi, I landed on Earth. This guy named Chang found me. He made me into a lamp. And there you go. And he says that Chang is the one that made it into the lamp that you see before him. But I've also heard that there was another guy involved who was like crazy and made it into the standard train lantern looking thing. So
Sure.
whatever. And then like, from that, there was the ring, and then like it just starts like saying like rings and lamps and rings and and they're like,
Oh,
and
okay,
you're
well,
like,
you're
cool,
freaking
so
out.
you're totally fine,
Yeah.
right? So like Hal's like, so wait, you're the power that Alan Scott had? Like, is that like, are
Yeah.
you the lantern?
Right.
Are
Right.
we in the
Are
lantern?
we in the
Like, what are we
lantern?
doing? And it's like, I think we're in the lantern.
Yeah.
It looks like it.
We're-
Yeah.
I
we're
guess
in the
so.
lantern.
Yeah.
And he's just like, did he own you? And he's like, one is not owned.
Right.
He's like, Alan was my slave, as you will be.
Oh.
Like you're gonna take your oath with me, and then I'm gonna control you, and that's gonna be cool.
Well, I don't wanna take that
It's gonna
oath.
be great. and like Clark's like, what do you mean he'd be your servant? I don't like that.
Yeah.
No, Alan Scott was like, what do you mean he was a slave of the lamp?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. He's cool.
and like the Flame's like, no, it's just a figure of speech.
Huh.
It's totally,
It's a hell of a figure.
Yeah.
totally fine. No, I wouldn't worry about it.
No,
Yeah.
it's a translation error.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, here's the thing. He's like, Hal, it's time to abandon science and embrace magic.
Okay.
Let's do that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And like,
Come on.
and like Hal's like, I'm not doing that. And it's
No.
like, from this adventure, in a way, like Hal is kind of somehow reinvigorated. Like he remembers, I think, what it was to be a lantern in a sense, and like what that meant.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like the Flame's like that. Okay, so
That was not what I was going for.
I'm every parent. That wasn't really a question. It was more like a you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, that was an order. Sorry. Yeah. And then all of a sudden the Phantom Stranger shows up and he's like,
I'm also in the book.
sup. hey guys,
They're looking for you.
hey, he's like talking to the flame. He's like, you don't have that kind of power.
Oh.
You can't do that.
Oh, you're just trying to scare him.
Yeah. He's like, Hal, you have to like use like the strength that Alan Scott had to tame it. You have to do it.
Oh.
And like the flame's like, don't listen to him. No, like everything's just like he had zero plan beyond
Wow.
getting him here, right?
Wow.
He did not count on Clark being there, and he did
No.
not count on the Phantom Stranger
Or
showing up.
Hal being obstinate in any way.
Exactly, exactly.
That's another Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Right?
Pay no attention to the man
No,
behind
no,
the
no,
curtain.
no,
Oh,
don't listen to him.
He
No.
doesn't know what he's talking about.
Are we gonna get a small blue guy with a ponytail in the background with pulling levers?
No. Hal's like, right, Alan Scott. And he's like, I'm going to use his oath.
Oh.
And so he uses the Alan Scott oath, which is, and I shall shed my light over dark evil, for the dark things cannot stand the light of. And the flame's like, no!
Don't do it!
He's like Green Lantern, and he does it, and it extinguishes the
green
evil.
flame.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
green flame, right? And then the Phantom Stranger like takes them out of where they were, and they're back in the room.
You've
and
done
you-
it.
right?
Congratulations.
And you see Clark
Yeah.
and Green Lantern standing there in like, grayscale, and then the other two in the background.
Right, they're petrified.
Yeah, so like they're just like stuck in time basically. Like they're,
Interesting. Okay.
and like the Phantom Stranger's like, well, I'm just gonna take this lamp. Because You guys can't be trusted.
Yeah, this thing's
Yeah.
dangerous. I'm gonna get rid of it.
I'm gonna chant. Yeah, it's anyway. And then Clark is like, wait a minute. Hold on. How do we get back into our bodies? What's happening? And who are you, Phantom Stranger? He's like, how often am I gonna get this opportunity?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
What's your real name?
And he's
Well, that's a
just
story for another time.
right. He's like, here's the thing. Hal's ring is now freed of magic. It'll be able to actually get you back into your bodies now, just like Hal thought it might have before.
Yeah.
Oh.
And
hunch anyway,
he's
but
just
sure.
like, as to who I am a friend, Kal-El.
He says that. I've seen him say that before. That's funny.
He's like, and when you need one most, when you most need one, or whatever.
Okay.
And he just leaves, right?
Well, what about that time when I'm beaten to death by a rage monster made of bones?
I can't help you with that.
Fair
No,
enough.
I know you aren't going to die then. You're actually in a coma.
Yeah, you're
a healing
totally
coma.
Right, you're
so
going
I
to
didn't
the-
really need
The
you.
Phantom Stranger knows all and doesn't and is kind of busy sometimes.
Fair enough. Yeah.
You'll survive,
Yeah.
technically.
How about at least having Wonder Woman show up in that fight?
Nah.
No.
No.
Only
No.
Blue Beetle.
It has
That's
to go
fine.
that way. Goodbye.
You'll know what I'm talking about.
I'll save you a different time.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe I don't. So then like Clark and like is looking at Hal and he's like, Hal, is this gonna work? And
Yeah.
he's like, I don't know.
I don't know. So far, nothing's gone the way I
Flash.
Yeah,
thought.
so far it's been going great.
Yeah. So then
Ring.
all of a sudden everybody at the party realizes there's another ring that they could go and explore. They go down there and they start looking at whatever. And we see Hal and Clark leaving together.
Yeah.
And like he's just like, I need some air. Like,
Yeah. Whew, that was messed up.
like
Yeah.
he's like, Hal's like, did that happen? Clark's
Right?
like, it did.
It did. It can't unhappen.
happened.
I was there. We both experienced it.
Yes, exactly.
Me more than you, really.
Yeah.
And like, so then Clark tries to bring it back around. He's like, we were talking about your problems before all this like crazy shit happened. And he's just like, yeah. And he's just like, well, he's like, I think that basically he changed his mind. And like, Clark's like, you changed your perspective based on what just happened.
Yeah.
You know, is
Isn't
that
messed
kind
up
of
situation?
yeah? And he's like,
Funny how that
he
works.
realizes that like there's a whole universe out there and there's a lot more friends and like he realizes that like he needs to be the change he wants to see.
Right.
You know what I
Oh,
mean?
I
Like
see.
he
It could be
needs-
worse. I could be in hell.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I could be impaled by a freaking
Bird.
Yeah.
Giant horrible
anchor
bird.
thing.
Right.
Oh yeah, the anchor.
So then they like fly around for a minute and like they're gonna part ways and like they shake hands and like Clark goes, Hal, if you ever need to talk to someone, you know my number.
Right.
And it's like, I'm not gonna pick up just like last time.
You know my number. You called it last time. I failed you.
Yeah.
So,
Whoosh.
sorry. He's like, I appreciate that. And then like Hal's sitting there like wondering what Clark experienced because he only got like a portion of what it
Yeah,
was.
Clark didn't probably go into it.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't suppose I'll ever know, and I don't think I want to.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest with you. And then like Hal goes, take care, big guy, the place is all yours. If you see what I mean. And like it's Neil Gaiman giving you a wink because as they're like parting ways, they're parting ways in front of a theater that was showing Fatal Attraction, and there is a guy taking the things down, and at the
Yeah.
end it just says action, and basically it's a nod to being like Action Comics is returning, and it's gonna be about Superman.
Right.
I'm leaving you the keys to the kingdom. I'm not in this book anymore.
Right. I'm going away.
And
Cool.
he's like, later, and he leaves.
Okay.
And that's how that was gonna be the new like status quo, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. That's really funny. It's like the camera like it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all.
That's it. That's exactly what it is. So
Yeah.
what actually happens in the real issue is that Hal Jordan dies, but doesn't really die in a really stupid way. And then it's revealed in that story that like when Abin Sur first came here, the ring went to Clark first.
Oh.
And was like, oh, you're an alien, never mind.
Abin Sur's an alien.
Then it went to like a bunch of other people.
what?
Oh, like it goes to different, like it goes to Bruce Wayne's
it was
house.
it was going to potentially go to other people, and like Clark was like, "Oh, I know Hal Jordan. I've written about him or whatever. You should pick him."
Yeah.
And then like
What?
Clark forgets everything. So then when Hal dies, it brings a whole bunch of other people like again because it's going to choose a new person.
Okay.
Like Nightwing's there, and Guy Gardner's there,
Okay.
Oh.
and but Guy Gardner's already a Lantern.
Yeah.
So
Well, he did lose the ring at some point.
and I think also Jon Stewart's there.
Okay.
Because Jon Stewart was like around during this time. They really screwed him up from the get-go.
Yep.
And basically Abin Sur is like still in the ring kind of, or
Okay.
like he's just like, I'm part of the selection committee or whatever. And like basically at the end of the day, like Hal Jordan realizes he should go back into his body and just like, you know, live
Keep
on
going.
and be. And I'm like, that is such a tame, pale version
Yeah,
of what
of that.
Gaiman was going to tell.
Yeah.
So instead of like instead of Hal Jordan actually facing hell
Yeah.
Right.
and a potential like complete like undermining and like changing of like his powers,
yeah.
he's just like, oh, never mind.
He
Like,
finds that he might be replaceable,
yeah,
Yeah.
which in fact he is, of course, because
Right.
then they do replace him literally
Right.
with Kyle Rayner.
So I think this is really cool because this is like literally this could have happened.
Right.
Yeah.
And it could still happen.
Like had it
I watched
not,
it happen. I saw it happen.
right? Yeah.
right
Had
there.
it not been for 1 week's time period,
Yeah.
this would have
Yeah.
happened,
Wow.
Right. That's cool.
right?
Yeah.
Well, it's so sad because like this had to get thrown out in service of a stupid idea.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, wouldn't it be fun if people didn't know Clark's identity like back in the day?
Right. Like what?
When he had to keep it a secret from his friends and
Yep.
everything.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
his superhero friends.
And it's so frustrating because like they
that
didn't
sucks.
They didn't even really bury that too like deeply. I remember they were trying to like do the whole like Superman Batman don't know each other thing during
Yeah.
the post-crisis era. They kept that going for like maybe 5 issues before they were like, oh no, they know each other now. Like
So they didn't even last.
yeah, I had the issue where like Superman gives Batman like a photo album to analyze to find out something, and Batman's like, the only thing you can actually figure out from this photo album is that Clark Kent is Superman. And then Superman says, well, so long, Bruce. And then the issue ends with Bruce saying something like, and I took all that trouble to lace my cowl with lead. And you're like, cool, that's how they find out.
Yeah.
Good thing you definitely held on to that story.
Yeah.
So it's like
Jeez.
you literally could have done the story and just been like, and anybody being like, excuse me, but Green Lantern and Superman have never actually met in their civilian identities before. You could be like, yeah, no, they did.
Yeah, they
Oh,
did in
really?
the book you didn't
Show
read.
me the issue. It's in an issue that like you didn't read, and we'll just publish it later, and we'll retcon it.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's fine.
Yeah.
Well, but like to be fair, up until that week, they did.
Right.
Like because like as like Wade says, like editors were doing the best that they could to make sense of the current continuity.
Yeah, but they weren't really doing a good job.
But they weren't really talking to each other, and so
Yeah.
when this happened, because I guess Carlin was the Superman editor,
Yeah.
everything else had to fall into line,
Which is kind of cool. I like that idea, but yeah.
right? But like, literally, it went from that totally worked because Gaiman literally went back and like checked everything out that had
Yeah.
been happening up until that point, till that doesn't work at all.
Right.
Yeah.
To
And
actually throw
sorry.
it away.
Yeah, but like the concept of Superman being in hell
Oh yeah.
is like a real shame that this
You
didn't.
should revisit it and just call the book Superman in Hell.
Right? Like that's really what this is like for
Yeah.
me. This is all
Sell
about.
it, that sells much better
Yeah, yeah,
than Green Lantern, Superman, Green Flame.
yeah, exactly. You know.
Legend of the Green Flame.
Right. The Legend of the Green
Green
Flame.
Green Lantern and Superman, an unrelated thing that is not connected to these two characters, will bother them.
Yeah.
Like, because it's not even.
No.
Connected
Well, it's
to-
connected tangentially
Yeah, to the
via
legacy
the other
of him.
character named
Yes.
Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's connected
Who doesn't appear in this book.
No.
Right. But it is the impetus to which they were able to go to hell.
Sure.
Right. But like really cool concept. That like
Neat.
little subchapter alone, the art's great for it.
Yeah.
That's the book. The book. Everything else, like Superman and Green Lantern going to the gallery and doing some stupid thing that triggers. Like you literally just need it to be that. Like, how about like the whoever the leader of hell is in DC? I don't remember. And the Phantom Stranger have a like actual, you know, like the story of Job type situation, where they bet that Superman could not survive a day in hell, and then they send Superman to hell.
Right.
Like, all you need is the framing device to get that part.
Exactly. But the
Superman doesn't succeed, by the way. He just gets to leave.
Right,
Yeah.
but the reason that like this was written was to wrap up all of these like.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know,
so
I know.
like,
Yes, the impetus behind the book is to service a narrative conclusion
Yes.
that otherwise no one would care about to do.
Right.
But the actual interesting germ
Yeah.
is this concept that isn't really fully explored.
No.
That like, sure, why don't we just do that
No,
instead?
but it is like it is worth the price of admission
Oh, yeah,
to
totally.
read Gaiman's inner monologue for Superman in Hell.
That's the kind of thing you wouldn't normally get.
No.
Because normally they want to stretch it out into 6 issues,
Yeah,
Eh.
yeah.
and you would never get his internal like thoughts.
No, it's just
this is way cooler.
So cool. Again, I paid $25 for this.
Yeah, I know,
Yes.
right? For this forgotten story
For this
by Neil Gaiman.
forgotten story written by Neil Gaiman.
With the cover art, by the way.
Yeah, the cover art is done by Frank Miller. Back when Frank Miller found
Really?
digital coloring.
This is straight up Dark Knight Strikes Again, Frank
Yep.
Miller. That is, I remember, I was like, that is Green Lantern from Dark Knight Strikes Again. That might be Lynn Varley
weird.
colors,
Yep.
because like they're terrible. Not to say that she's a bad colorist, actually she was a great colorist in Dark Knight Returns.
Right.
But then she like discovered Photoshop and went completely ham
Yeah.
on it.
Oh, one other thing.
Yeah.
That's just kind of cool and fun. So like this story, don't forget they totally lost a copy of it.
Yeah.
They lost multiple copies.
Yeah,
of it.
yeah, they could. Thank
Don't
God
forget-
someone doesn't untrustworthy.
Well, I was
enough
going
to-
to say, in Sandman, there is in the Dreaming there is the library of works of like of novels of fiction that are there that were not finished or not written by authors.
Yes.
Like it was things that could have been that they thought about doing, and like there is like
this in
there's
that?
an irony of it. No, it's not because he didn't know he lost it at the time. Like nobody
Right,
knew that
right.
lost it, but like.
Yeah.
You know,
It could
both
have
he in the forward and Wade in the afterwards, like recognize that like Lucian, who is the keeper of that library, lost one the day they
Right.
found the copy of it.
Oh, that's
And
fun.
I was like,
yeah.
that's still
You're like, that was
coming
just
together.
for me. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks, guys. So yeah, if we can find a version of this anywhere, we'll link it down below.
Yeah.
You can
Right.
go check it out.
But if not, go to your local comic book store and pay $25 to get it.
Yeah, fine. You'll probably
Hopefully.
find it someplace. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's so short. I read it maybe like a half hour.
Right?
Yeah.
I've seen this book. Having seen this book in your possession and having seen many repeats in my travels through
Yeah.
comic book stores, I've never seen it before. So good luck. Because I've literally never seen it.
Right, but they published it in 2000, so I don't know. Go
In the year 2000!
in the year 2000. So if you want to see Neil Gaiman like trying to sum up a
25-year-old story.
well, a mistake that they
mistake.
publishing a weekly comic
Yeah, what
Yeah,
a,
that
what
was
a
of
bad
all,
idea.
disaster.
of all these little stories.
It's funny because DC would actually do that over and over and
I
over
know.
again.
The idea for Action Weekly or Action Comics Weekly was that it was a bunch of vignettes. So it was a bunch of writers and artists they were trying to wrangle.
Ugh. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
They did a similar
Oh,
thing with
good work.
Spider-Man when they had, it was 3 times a month.
Yep.
And they had 3 different like writers and artists working on each story or each book that like worked within the same story.
oh, okay. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
this was just
I do
literally.
not envy Steve Wacker for his editing. It was impeccable.
But yeah, so I say give it a read. It's worth it. I say.
Definitely,
I
yeah,
think
no,
it's-
totally.
It's fun. It's just a fun little like look into a different path that could have happened.
yeah.
And honestly, like since he says it was pre-Sandman, maybe Sandman wouldn't have happened if he was then picked up as a DC.
Right?
main
Yeah,
writer,
no, if he had gotten Superman, the gig for Action Comics, and just kept
right?
going
Or
with that.
Green Lantern.
Yeah, well, he would have gotten time.
Could have still squeezed out.
Yeah, he definitely
Sandman.
could have still done Sandman.
There you go. Yeah, that's true. All right, well, that's it for us, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. I'm Tiffany.
I'm Sal.
I'm Ethan.
Bye, guys.
I'll see you in hell.
Nope.
I hope not.
I don't want to do that.